Hello, I'm Ananya. I'm an 18-year-old studying biology at the University of California, Irvine. I'm in my second year of college, and in my free time, I like to write romance novels, and I think that comes from how much I love to watch romantic Bollywood movies. But that's just a little bit about me.
What is it like to be a teen writer?
So it's definitely interesting, and I think it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you have people that are kind of impressed that you were able to, write what you wrote at such a young age, and I think that that's a great ego boost when you get it. But a lot of people actually have this like preconceived notion that because you're young, your writing is just not going to be as good. And I'm not saying that I'm the best writer because I'm definitely not. But I think that something that I had to deal with when I was querying was not putting my age and kind of just alluding to it by saying I was in college. But a lot of people and a lot of agents thought I was in grad school because I just didn't say I was, hey, 17 when I wrote this book. And I think that that's an extra step that teen writers have to take that I feel like other writers don't really have to consider. Otherwise, I really like being a teen writer for the community. I was in TeenPit in 2019, and I made two of my closest friends through there, and we are still critique partners and still like talking every day to this day. So I think that finding that community is also something really unique to being a teen because you're meeting people that are your own age with the same goals and aspirations that you probably wouldn't find in your real life, but can find online. But I guess in a nutshell, it's just there's a lot about being a teen writer, and I think it's just navigating it as you go.
And for those who don't know, what is a TeenPit?
Yeah, so Teen Pit is a lot like Pitch Wars, Author Mentor Match. It's a pitching contest. Well, it's a mentorship contest where you would apply, and then if you get in, you are paired with a mentor that already has an agent and a book deal typically, and then they will spend a month to 2 months editing up your book, and then you will go and like kind of go for a panel of judges, and they will pick which book, which plot, which character arcs have the most potential. So in Pitch Wars, there's an agent showcase. Author Mentor Match is just a mentorship. Teen Pit is just a mentorship, but they have a panelist thing where you go against the judges and they tell you who the best Teen Pit author was. So for me, I ended up first place, which is really nice.
Wow,
um,
amazing.
yeah, thank you. It was really exciting, but that was typically the process. It was just a really great time to hone in on my craft and work with someone who knew a lot more than me on my writing.
And what are the pros of writing young adult novels as a teen?
Okay, this is my favorite question. I love writing young adult novels as a teen, and I think it creates this really unique experience where you are not only the same age as your characters, but you are the same age as the people you're writing for. And I think that connection is kind of like gold. I it's just I guess the best way to put it for me is it's not hard for me to write young adult characters because I'm basing them off my life, off my friends. I'm not basing them off of memories. I'm basing them off of lived experiences in the moment that I can't possibly forget because they happened a week ago. And I think that is such a cool experience because I don't really have to worry about people saying, oh, this sounds too adult. Because I've had friends whose young adult books sounded too adult despite them being young adults. But I think the nature of writing young adult contemporary, you don't really get into that problem because that's my life as a young adult contemporary. So I'm essentially just writing about me. And I think that's super fun.
How did you get an agent?
How did I get an agent? So it was kind of a process. I started by writing my book in the end of my senior year of high school and the beginning of my freshman year of college. And it was a young adult contemporary romance about two kids who are trying to prove the world wrong, literally. Um, and for them, it took me about 6 months to write that book and then 2 months to edit it. And in quarantine, I was editing. So when we all went into lockdown in March and April, I was revising this book I'd written because I just left college and I had no idea how to deal with the fact that my life was no longer young adult contemporary. My life was young adult stay at home. So I was just revising and revising and revising. I sent it through multiple beta readers and critique partners during this time. and I had a pretty solid, I guess, product in July. So I queried in July. It was only a second draft, so that was really scary, but it worked out. um, so I queried, and then I think I sent out 35 queries total before I got my agent. 18 of them were full requests, and of that 18, 9 were from cold querying, just sending emails, and then the other 9 were from PitMad. And that is where I got the majority of my requests and my interest from, because I pitched my novel in like 250 characters or less on Twitter, and it did really well. So I got a lot of interest in it. And that was how I found my agent, actually, because she liked my pitch, invited me to submit to her. And so I did. 10 days later, she asked for the full. And then 3 days after that, she offered rep. So it was like super fast, super awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. I really wasn't expecting it. And I think what was really funny for me was the morning that she sent me the email asking to set up a call, I was actually complaining to my critique partner about how I was never going to find an agent and how, this is just not for me. And she was about to tell me to shut up. And then I got that email and I was like, oh my God.
And what do you remember about the call? What was it like?
So the call for me, it's actually a little bit, I guess, not all in one day. So I had a 1 hour call with my agent and Leslie, and it was amazing. I think there was this feeling I got right away that I knew it'd be so easy to communicate with her, and that we had such a good like back and forth. It was really natural to talk to her. The same way you'd make a friend. It felt really good. So that was a great experience. And she was actually just asking me about my life and like me and the books I read and like what inspired this book for the first 15 minutes of the call. And she offered at minute 15. But the first 15 minutes, I was so nervous because I was like, oh my God, she's interviewing me. But it worked out really well. She was just asking me my age. That was one of the things that came up, a little bit about my story. Then once she offered, we got into the nitty gritty. We talked about, what will revisions be like? What will submission be like? What it's like to be an author at Dicedel, which is like my dream agency. So I was really excited about that. And just kind of like very administrative things about the offer. And then I was given 2 weeks to let everyone know. I let all the agents know I had another offer, hopped on the phone with her, which was also a very great call. And I think from there, I was kind of like, wait, I want to know more about Anne Leslie's revision. So I called her again before I made my decision. I had a second 1 hour call with my now agent. And I was like, please tell me about your revision plan, because I don't think I can sign with you unless I know what I'm getting into. And I think that's just kind of like my big advice is don't be afraid to ask multiple questions. Like, you're not inconveniencing them. You want an agent who's going to support you even when you are asking 20 questions, not just 2. So this was also kind of a test to see if she would be that kind of agent. And she was. She was so gracious. She was so helpful. And then once we had that call, that was a week after I had the original call. And I knew at that point that I like wasn't going to find that with anyone else, because the connection was just like instant. And she understood my story so well that I actually withdrew 7 of my fulls from other agents because I didn't want to waste their time, and I really respected their reading periods. Withdrew, and then I signed with Anne Leslie a week early.
Oh, this is such a remarkable story, like truly inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was so scary in the moment because I think the waiting period between getting an offer and signing is objectively the worst. I mean, you spend all of querying waiting, so like you'd think you'd get used to it. But when you have an offer in your hand, it takes so much resolve not to just be like, okay, I'm done. I'll go with the first agent, but it's good to know what your options are until you're 100% sure. And it took me 2 phone calls to realize I was 100% sure. So all I would say is just technically you can do whatever you want during the stage as long as you're respectful of the people involved. So as long as you're comfortable, go for it.
Is there anything you would like to talk about?
Well, coming to mind right now, no, but that's also because it's 8 in the morning and I have trouble thinking about things. I guess I could discuss a little bit about being a person of color publishing, because that is something I've noticed that is quite interesting, especially recently, um, I one thing I really liked, and I kind of use this as like a vetting with my agent as well, is having someone who's going to support your characters, no matter how marginalized they may be, and in what way, because you're creating a partnership that's for life. So something really important to me is I'm never going to stop writing about Indian characters. It's just not going to ever stop. So if you are, taking this book as part of a trend and then expecting me to write something mainstream later, it's not going to work, and I'm not going to be your client. So I think I asked my agent about that, and I say go for it. Ask your agent, are they okay with you, writing romance but only writing about diverse characters? And typically they will say yes. And one thing that I really liked about my agent was she asked me how to pronounce my name, which I know is very small, but I'm very used to pronouncing my own name wrong for other people because I just don't like to inconvenience them with pronunciations. And for her to go out of her way to make that something important and make that something worth talking about was a good feeling. So I think one piece of advice that I just want to say regardless is that for authors that are people of color, to make sure that you get a good feeling from the industry professionals you align yourself with, because since race is a little bit of a trend right now in publishing, the last thing you want is to be taken advantage of. And I think that your gut feeling can really help you with that. Like I have had good feelings about certain people and I've been right. And I think that if you follow that, you will be okay.